Hey all, it's been a while since I've posted a video on here. I have been working on a couple different projects. Two of them I'm going to show in two different videos, and this is the first one, which is a first-person climbing prototype. And I've been inspired by a couple games that I've either played or seen online and want to play. Let me show some of those now, actually. So one of the games I really enjoyed playing was Jusant, and it is like a really light, simple climbing game with simple climbing mechanics. But you're taken through a beautiful story, and it has some interesting world climbing sections where as you can see here, you're climbing like a growing tree trunk, or at certain points you have to climb up insects that are traveling up the wall, and you have to grab onto them. They're kind of like little crabs. And that really piqued my interest in different things you can add to a climbing game that aren't just like typical climbing up a mountain, let's say. A couple other interesting games that I liked that are somewhat similar is White Knuckle. I haven't played this one yet, but I've seen a number of videos of people playing it. It just looks really fun. The concept is to be a speed run through this derelict facility while I think some nasty creature comes and gets you, and a floor of lava essentially is coming up from the bottom slowly and inevitably coming to get you. It's got some cool climbing mechanics, especially because you can actually throw some things and then use them, or install things like on the wall and use that to climb. And I took some liberty of stealing those concepts because I think they're really cool. And lastly would be Lorne's Lore, which is more about climbing down than climbing up, it seems. And I haven't played this one either, but it is definitely on my list to play soon as I get some free time, I guess. And it's really interesting because you're given just basically one tool to climb through the whole map, and the map design itself really plays its part in how to climb through the game. So with that said, I'll show you some of what I've come up with in the last month, let's say, of my climbing prototype and where I want to take it, and we'll see what we got here. So I had this idea of the handholds. Instead of just doing a free climb along a wall, you'd have to use handholds. That way I could design the level in specific ways that have to be accomplished without just making it a free-for-all. The concept is you jump up, or if you're within reach, you can just grab the other handhold. You'll have this little hand icon here that will show you if you can grab it. And when you do, it turns, teal for a moment, showing that you did actually grab it. Now, I have it bound right now to just the left or right mouse button, so it's tracking either your left hand grabbing the handhold or your right hand grabbing the handhold. And the purpose of that is so you can relax your fingers. First of all, you could choose either finger or either hand on a controller to grab each handhold. So if your right hand's getting a little tired, you can start using your left hand. The other idea is that you can change hands mid grabbing a hold by looking back at the handhold and clicking the other hand hold interaction button and then releasing the first one. So you can relax your hands mid handhold here. In addition to that, I worked on a ledge grab mechanic. So you jump up to a ledge, you grab it with your handhold mechanic, and then once you're on the ledge, you can either jump up and vault onto the ledge, or you can climb across the ledge like so. And I have this unique movement pattern that I set up, so it does really give you the feeling of moving along the ledge instead of just like constant speed. It has like kind of a pulsive velocity. So here we jump up. Once we get enough room, we'll jump up here and make our way to the rest of this map. So these are some ideas I had, were rings that you could grab. And see here, I'm not jumping between the rings. I'm just clicking alternate fingers on the mouse to basically climb across this little rung system. I'll play through a couple more sections and I'll talk a little bit more about the game. All right, so that wasn't actually too hard to get up. I don't want the game to be too difficult that people will get frustrated, but I do like the idea of a challenge. So climbing is essentially the number one thing you'll be doing in this game, either climbing up or rappelling down. I have some mechanics I haven't built out yet, such as the rappel system, but that is the next thing I'm going to build essentially. So with the handhold system, I also found a way to animate it along with animatable objects in Godot in the game engine. So I plan to have some features in the game, such as this rail system up here that will drag you along to get to other parts of the map where you'll have to hold on the whole time. I may make it a Mario-esque feature where you have to jump from one handhold to another while you're moving, but those would probably be more like bonus areas or bonus sections that have something in addition to what the standard game content would have. So I have a pickup system that I started to design, and these are little throwables that you could throw at a wall. It'll stick to the wall. This little spike will actually pop out and dig into the wall in an animation. And the idea is that you can throw it up along a wall dynamically and build your own handhold climbing system to get to locations you need to get to. I haven't decided how I'm going to handle how many you're allowed to throw, or if you need special devices to throw into tougher materials, like such as ice. You might need like a propulsion system, like a gun or something, to actually shoot it into the ice. I haven't really decided that far into that, but I really like the mechanic, and I'll show it off now. So it just kind of shoots out. It's using a rigid body system, so it's actually taking gravity and objects in the area into account. See if we can create a little path up there. That should be pretty good. I might fall. If I fall, then we'll just have to talk other parts about the game. Or I guess I could just teleport my character here. All right, let's see. So I just stood on that one. I don't know if I'm going to leave that in the game, being able to stand on the handhold, but it's pretty handy. So I made these far enough apart that I'm going to have to jump to each one. I guess I could have done extra and made them closer together. Oh boy. I guess now is when I would rage quit, huh? In addition to all of that, I used a kind of a robust first-person system that I found online and started tinkering with. It offers, you know, some concepts like head bobbing, speed running. When you jump, your character kind of moves around a little bit. You have like a head bob when you land. And that really started giving me ideas of what I can do. So I created some for ledge jumping and handholds that move the head around independently of the body. Here's another mechanic I was tinkering with. Forgive the terrible art. This lets you climb up the wall, kind of Zelda style, where you just climb freeform up a certain section of the wall. I would say older Zelda. I'm just kind of scaling the wall. I can't go any further than the vines allow me to. And then once you're at the top, you can end up vaulting up to the top. So now that I've shown you most of that, I think what I'm going to do is show you some of the back end. All right, now that we're in the back end of the game engine, I'm going to show you some of the things I've built out for this character. So the hand is actually an object on the character that will get teleported to where you're about to do a handhold. And I have a vault capsule shape, which is basically the same exact capsule, but moved over and up to specify if you're allowed to vault onto a ledge and get up there, or if there's something blocking. In addition to that, we have other ray casts and sphere casts to determine if you're against a wall while you're climbing it, or if you've jumped off the wall, that kind of a thing. For handholds, I have a really simple system, which is just a really basic script that will take into account what you build dynamically, so not every handhold has to be the same. And as an example of what a handhold could look like in the game here, if you're curious. is there's a mesh counterpart, there's typically a collision counterpart if needed, and then you have a marker system. So I'm using this concept of, it's basically like an empty node that provides at least a position and a direction. And I'm using that to teleport the player to each handhold, and if needed, if necessary, suggest a view direction for the player's camera to look at. So certain handholds, you might want to have the player look in a certain direction. You also might want to limit how far left and right you can look while holding on to the handhold. Maybe you don't want the character to, maybe as like a mechanic, you don't want the player character to be able to look completely around in 360. Maybe you want to create some limitation while they're trying to climb in certain specific areas. In addition to that is the basic pickup system, and I have one simple pickup so far called the spear, or I might rename it to javelin because it sounds cooler, but it might need to be a little bigger to be a javelin. And essentially you come in contact with this sphere collision object, you pick up the object, it comes into your player character's inventory, and then you can use it. I haven't decided if it's like an unlimited kind of thing, or if you can only shoot so many before needing to pick up more. That's probably the way I'm going to lean to. But this mechanic will give an option to climb to areas that maybe are very difficult to get to, and you require the player to become a little creative in how they're going to get across certain gaps, let's say. And in here you can see, here's the spear that actually gets thrown. This is once it like leaves the player's hand, it gets thrown, and it'll play a little quick animation. It spins and injects itself into the wall. In addition to that, I added the handhold mechanic just right on top of it with its own marker system to get onto and grab essentially the spear. Some other ideas I've been thinking about are rappelling. So essentially you'd have to install an anchor into the wall at some location, and then you'd rappel with a rope, probably like a synthetic rope that you pick up. So maybe there's more than one type of rope, and you can only carry so much rope at a time. So there'd be situations where you might need to delve deeper into a cavern, but you don't have the right rope. So you need to climb elsewhere and find maybe a better rope in the environment. Additional ideas I have are also using picks like there are in Lauren's Lure. I really like the idea of being able to climb up to certain areas and sections using picks, or climbing down sections to use picks. I have to come up with a sort of balance of how powerful the pick system is and how realistic it might be to actually create some competition to get through the level. Because I feel like in Lauren's Lure, it's actually pretty easy to climb through. There's not a lot of difficulty that's created. I mean, there's difficult sections, sure, but I think more of the mechanic could have been investigated, and I feel like there's more to do with that single mechanic. Perhaps climbing upwards requires stamina, or maybe the picks will come out in certain materials. Maybe the picks get damaged and you have to replace them. Things like that, which I don't think they really looked into, and I think it would actually add to the game. All right, with that said, I'm going to attempt this wall scaling again. So I made them close enough that I can actually just climb to each one. Oh, that one I have to jump. It's a little scary when you gotta jump this high up. Oof, all right, grab the ledge. I can climb up like so. There we go. And I didn't have any time before this video, but I was thinking about adding something over here like a little chest. So now I'm just being carried, and I let go, and the little rail system drives away. All right, so that's it. I think I've kind of showed off enough to give you an idea of what I'm looking to do. I didn't talk about things like character design or artwork, theme. I'll get into that in the next video. I also plan on talking a little bit about some of the native animals you might see while you're climbing. Some are positive and useful, and others might attack you, so you have to defend yourself. And I'll get into that when I start building out those mechanics.